All right, class, today we're starting our value project. So you guys should have already completed your line and shape project with your Sharpie markers, which I'm showing you here. And we're going to take a section of this project and zoom in on it and create our value project, our colored pencil project with it. So the first step I'd like you guys to do is take your cell phone camera and play around. Try and keep your camera parallel. Don't tilt your camera, it kind of distorts the image, but keep it parallel. And play around with vertical or horizontal zoom in sections of areas that you might like to use for your value project. And you're looking for an area that has a focal point and some interesting variety of shapes and some interesting balance of black, white, and gray. So this is the section that was selected, and you can see that it has a nice strong focal point with the star here, the big sphere, and then some nice areas of gray, some nice areas of whites. And the second step, once you select your section, is to take your tracing paper, which is in your pad, and your section can be small or large, but we are going to blow them up a little bit larger on our black board. So you might need, if your section is larger than your tracing paper pad, you might need to tape two of these pieces together, but it probably won't be. Your tracing paper pad is 9 by 12, and that should be fine. And then you're going to take your pencil and you're going to trace the basic shapes. You're not going to worry about the line pattern inside these shapes or the stipple. We're going to ignore that, and we're going to just go for the basic shapes. So from this design, these are the basic shapes that I came up with. And then your third step is to translate that onto your black illustration board with your gray colored pencil. So you can see here I've translated it with a border around the edge, and I'm not picky about the border. It could be 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 3 inches, but I would like the image pretty large on your board to take advantage of the boards and have more impact. So what I would not like to see is if your whole drawing window was maybe 4 by 6 inches and there was all this border. So a reasonable border. And then once you get it traced on, the next step is we're going to work with the colored pencil shading. And we're going to translate our shapes into 3D forms. You can see the spheres here where they originally were in stipple, and they were dark on the edge and they graduated into a lighter shade. It was created with black colored pencils and then the gray and then the white. So we're not replicating the stipple or the lines, but we're trying to match somewhat, but you guys have some creative leeway, match the values, the tones that were in your line and shape project. And here's another example of a line shape project that was finished, and then this student selected this area, and then you would trace that area out, and you can see just the basic shapes were traced here, not worrying about the checkerboard, not worrying about the little skinny lines. If there's shapes that are important to you, like these little scallop shapes in this background, that's fine if you want to trace those out. Now and then the student created a pencil, color pencil, black, white, and gray color pencil drawing, and it ended up looking like this. Put it so you can see it. Now, the choices of how big of an area you zoom in on, this is about 8 by 10, and I like this area because, again, it has a nice variety of grays, strong, bold blacks, and whites, and it has clear focal points, these two arrows. But they could have chosen a smaller area. I was playing around with 4 by 6 inch square of paper. Again, you could do it with your cell phone camera, which is faster and easier for you guys. You could, if you have black construction paper, cut a window out like I did here and move it around. But you're doing the same thing with your camera. And I noticed that that would be a cool area to zoom in on with the one arrow. Again, we're not going to translate it that small. We're going to blow it up on our blackboard. And I noticed over here in this area, this sphere would make an interesting focal point. So that's those are your first steps. decide on a section of your line and shape project, trace out the basic shapes, and then recreate that design layout on your black illustration board in the gray colored pencil. And that's it for this part of the lecture, and I'm going to do a demonstration of the colored pencil shading in the next video.